recording is started. Alright, look to go for that a little bit faster when you know that you have the lamp up available. Also, so you can look to go with DPS when they go off on flanks and off angles, such as like the Echo. Alright, just look to stick with her. Bab can sit main, healing the rest of your team, but you know if she's going off on her own, she's not going to be able to get any assistance besides you. And also on top of that, going off on her own gets her around shields and tanks and puts her in a good position. So that we can look to follow her around a little bit more.
Like a steady Echo, got you.
No. I'm gonna switch this.
Alright, make sure you're putting yourself in a position to, for two different things here. First off, make sure you're putting, like, kind of setting your camera angle and looking around more so you can see as many teammates and enemies as possible. As oftentimes you kind of tunnel vision in on like 2 people and then we can't really see the rest of the fight. On top of that, make sure you're also positioning yourself so you can heal as many teammates as possible. So, like, if you want to be able to stick with your DPS, but you also want to put yourself to where you can heal anyone else if necessary. So essentially, like if your DPSs are leaving to go somewhere else away from the team, then go with them. But if they're staying with the team, make sure you can also heal the rest of your team as well, right? So put yourself in kind of in the middle of everyone, or within range of everyone.
Can we have a right, maybe?
Yeah, I'm gonna switch.
Okay, I need to use my Valk soon, don't I? I've been holding it.
Yep.
Okay, is everyone here? Okay, I'm gonna Valk early.
Nice dodge.
Okay, hands up. Nice.
Let's chill out, let's chill out. Up right.
Alright, make sure you give it a second to eyeball it out before you're going for it immediately. Right, you need to check to make sure that it's a safe res to go for, right? Because otherwise Zarya ends up just coming in and killing you.
Oops.
Oh, come on, how can we lose this?
Alrighty, so
Oof, that was rough.
yeah, in general, it looks like general positioning is pretty decent. Like we stay next to cover, we're not dying unnecessarily because we're out in the open. General awareness is good. We have good team fight awareness, so if we understand what's happening in the kill feed and we are paying attention to all the different parts of our kit. But when it comes to kind of more specialized positioning and like where should Mercy be, that's where we're struggling a little bit more, right? We want to make sure that, you know, Mercy has a 15-meter range. We're trying to make sure that we can, like, if our DPS are with our team, we stick with them. But we also want to make sure that we're in range of everyone on our team, so that if our tanks are low, we can heal our tanks. If Ana's need healing, then we can heal Ana, right? Whereas sometimes we're going with the DPS, but when they're right next to our team, but we're
Right next to you, bro.
isolating ourselves from everyone else. On top of that, our awareness of what's happening around us could be a little bit better in terms of players. So we have good awareness of kill feed, good awareness of our kit, but just being a little bit more aware of like what's up with your whole team and what's up with the enemy team. Could be look to work on. Ultimates, I only saw you use one, and it was a little bit delayed, so just make sure you're looking to use that early on in fights. You look to use it, you know, at the
Fairly quickly.
very beginning. Don't hold on to it. And then reses, I'm going to need to see more of.
Okay, so do I need to stick? Is it more about knowing when to stick with the DPS and when I need to heal the main, you know, the main tank line?
Essentially, a pocket DPS acts like a default target, right? Anytime you don't need to go to someone else, you're back with them. So you can go to your tanks if they're about to die, they're in danger, they're low. But anytime you're not with somebody else, you're going back to your DPS or the best pocket target.
Oh, jeez, let's put it go that way.
Focus behind, hug behind, hug behind.
Okay, nice corner res.
Get us back up. We can recontest at the end.
Yeah, right now we should probably be looking to get up to our soldier so we can help him out.
Right, yeah.
We can do like a super jump.
Don't waste your shield.
Yeah, if we get around the corner. Okay. Shit. Shit.
Hanzo's still behind. Hanzo's still behind.
Probably look for res with the Velk. As Zenyatta's not looking at you, you can probably get away with that pretty easily.
Yeah, but panicking a little bit at the game.
Or behind you, Mercy.
Alright, they're panicked a little bit with the reses. Res, while in, like, they're pretty good at the beginning of fights, and they're pretty good when fights are done, but they're really the best form is going to be in the middle, right? Because you get a player back.
Yeah. I just expected the Zen to, like, you know, just turn around as soon as he saw the res, but
yep, and
I guess at this rank he probably wouldn't.
I mean, even at higher ranks, if he doesn't turn around, you have to be able to see that and acknowledge it and go, okay, well, now I can go for the res. On top of that, Zarya was also sitting in like the right room, so that was also another res option.
Yeah.
Can you defend me for the res? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my god, these guys so deep. I've got res ready.
I will play for a draft dragon to win.
Okay, I'm gonna want to use this as soon as they come in, basically, right? Okay, nice pick.
I cannot represent it. Hands are going higher.
Off slipping. Hanzo's on high ground.
They didn't have Ryan or Mercy.
That was extremely risky, wasn't it?
Oh, but very high value as well. Right, sometimes you have to balance risk and reward. You have to
Okay,
identify.
GG. That's hold.
Yep, very nice recovery there. It didn't look like we were paying too much attention to the macro sense of the game, so I didn't see us pressing tab very frequently at all. Which means that we're lacking out on a ton of information when it comes to awareness. On top of that, I think last time we talked a lot about ult tracking and planning as well, right?
Yeah, we did. We did a fair bit.
Have you had any luck with that, or has it just still been really tough?
It's about remembering to do it, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So then, in this next game that we get into, I guess look to do that a little bit more, and then hopefully that doesn't interfere with me talking about stuff. I'll try to hold on to things to talk about until after the fights. You're done tracking, or after the game's done, and then maybe I can help you out a little bit with planning and whatnot. But overall, there, I think that the second round had a lot less mistakes. We had a really good hold, a lot of good reses. Just want to make sure that we're going for reses, because that is the biggest part of your kit. So if we're just not ever doing it, then we're not going to get the value out of it. So we want to make sure that we're looking
Missed
for
out
them.
value.
Yeah, sometimes even if they're a little bit riskier, we have to identify, can we go for that in some sense, right? Because sometimes even if it's risky, if we do it at the right timing when they're not looking at us, if we do it with the right protection, then we can get away with it. And those are going to be really high value reses. So we just want to look for situations where we can get reses off. Other than that, awareness is a little bit lacking with, like we said, tab pressing, paying attention to the team. On the defense, that was a lot better. And then as well as I think the positioning was a lot better on defense. So overall, defense didn't have nearly as many mistakes as the attack did. Yep, and then besides that, ultimate usage as well was better on the defense.
I feel like in general, in the replay reviews we've done before, that's like a thing you mentioned once or twice as well. That my positioning on defense is better than it is on offense. What? I know it's different between characters, but in general what do I do wrong on offense?
So on defense, you already have preset positioning, right? When you're on defense, in between every single fight, you're setting up your positioning, and you have a lot more time to think about it. And you don't have to push and take any space. On attack, I think we need to get more used to the fact that we are now taking that space, and we're not going to already have the positioning. So we have to be ready. We have to be thinking ahead of time of, where are we going to be going? Where is our team going to be going? Where's our DPS going to be going? Because, and we have to think ahead of that, because they're not going to be sitting in place like on defense at all, right? They have to push forward, they have to take space, they're going to go in off angles. So we're going to have to move around a lot more often on the attack. So we have to think ahead of time, where are they going, which oftentimes is going to be to point, right? That's going to be where the fight's going to kind of circulate around. But yeah, besides, I would say that that's really the only difference between the attack and defense. I think we also I don't know, we made a lot more mistakes on the attack. To be honest, attack and defense aren't too different, but could just be our mindset behind us. The difference on attack and defense could be, there's only a couple of them. Like I said, it's difference between taking and defending the point, right? And then you also have a difference in how you can use ultimates on defense. You need to be able to stretch them out. On attack, you can save them all up and then use them all at once. So besides that, there's not really too many differences in how you approach it. But maybe us attempting to play it differently would be a problem. So in this next match, are you gonna try to do Mercy again, or are you going to just go whatever you need to?
I always try to, with comp at least, is check what my other support, check their profile.
Yeah.
And then that last person, they were an Anna BAP sort of, main. So I immediately thought, okay, I probably need to play Mercy here. So I just kind of change which hero I play depending on my duo. So So if we get another Anna back, then probably I'll try to go Mercy again. Ooh, Q's are good tonight.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower. Prepare for battle. Select your hero.
Yep, no ran him in. Oops, getting cold. Okay. Does Mercy work that well with this comp? I guess it works fine. Yeah, sure, Mercy's fine.
Yeah, Mercy's decent. She can help pocket the DPS pretty decently here as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Ich bin da.
Okay, you're probably gonna be better off defaulting to the Hanzo than the Genji until the Nanoblade comes up.
Right, okay.
Then you pocket him while he's bleeding. Okay. Don't position in the middle of point, position more towards the outskirts.
No.
Okay.
That's lost 100%. I don't want to feed. Was it right to leave then, or should I have stayed and tried to stall more?
Oh no, there's no point in stalling if you're just gonna lose and die anyways.
Alright, okay.
You only stall if you're defending.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, ultimates. We shouldn't have any up yet, maybe. Well, apart from maybe the Mercy, because she.
Yeah, if you're 90, then she's probably close as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the times you can do those comparisons. The team that wins a fight will be a little bit closer than your team.
Hog's looking for a hook. Watch out, Anna.
Okay,
Right.
can we go for Zenyatta now? We have Nanoblade.
Nice pick. Nice boops. I guess it's winnable.
Yeah. Couldn't do much with Blade.
Okay. The only time you're probably not a good situation to pistol. The only pistoling is you have seen an opportunity, someone low, someone out of position, an easy person to kill. But Hanzo, who's a mile away from you, probably you're not too likely to be able to kill. And
Right, I just thought it was okay because they had trans up at the moment. I didn't think those were worth, like, I guess it would have been better to get ult charge actually. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the team, yeah. Okay, Mercy's used her ult. Oh, yeah, healing. They use trans, they still have soldier. I wasn't really paying that much attention to them, to be honest.
Yep, which is a good thing to make sure you're paying attention to. Another thing you can do to make it easier is to, when they happen, call them out, right? So say
Right, yeah.
they use mines, they use trance, right? And say that to your team. That lets them know. That lets your team know, as well as it helps you track it a little bit easier.
Right, okay. I'll do that first fight then.
Soldier now?
Okay, I'm a bit close. Ah, it's unfortunate.
Did we cancel that fly or no?
I'm not sure.
Soldier, speed.
Are you aware of how flies cancel, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm aware, but I'm not sure if I meant to do it then.
Mhm.
Okay. Ah, that was a bad positioning.
Yep. You gotta watch the mines as well. Just make sure you're listening, paying attention, that we don't swoop through them.
Okay, so these mines, these soldier, and Hansville. So they've got whole hog. They probably got Mercy again, and they probably got Trans again.
Yep, and remember that's something you also communicate with your team.
Okay, they've got Trans, Valk, and whole hog.
Yep. In that situation, when it's just those, you don't. There's not really anything in particular you need to make a plan against,
Right, I guess yeah.
unless you're trying to avoid a transcendence or something like that. Okay, make sure when you press tab that you're also paying attention to your team. That can stop overults from happening as well. They can stop overults from happening as well as they can also we can check to see like what do we need to pocket, because there are certain ultimates that are good for you to pocket as a mercy, right? What's the benefit of pocketing a nano blade for you?
Not really much, I guess.
Not really much.
Well, a nanoblade.
No,
Right.
nano blade. That when you pocket a nano blade as mercy, it makes it a 1/slash rather than a slash and dash.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see what you mean.
On top of that, you can heal him up and give him a lot more survivability. Yep, so yeah, now that you know that information, just keep in mind there are good ultimates to pocket, and we want to make sure we're pressing tab and paying attention to them so that we can pocket them. On top, I think main issues that round would have been just keeping up the macro sense of the game and making sure we're paying attention to that, but then also, it didn't really seem like we went for too many reses, and we weren't able to get off too many.
I did one.
Yeah, one single res, so make sure we're just looking to get that off a bit more. Other than that, pretty well played. Positioning looking very, very fine right now, as well as beam targets are looking fantastic, and we do have great flight as well. And ultimate usage as well is just, we have been using that, at the right times, so no problem with that as well.
Okay, so I'm still going to want to stick with McCree for blade pocketing.
Yep, until they get the nanoblade, because he's not going to be, it doesn't matter if he's charging his ult faster, because he still has to wait on the Ana. If you see that Ana has nano and Genji is still behind on blade, then you can pocket him to get his blade faster. Nice res. That's also a situation where maybe if you feel like it's a little too dangerous, you can ask if we have bubble or shield or something like that, right?
It didn't seem like they were pushing at that moment, so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Don't give a point.
Yeah, good touch. Go point.
Shit.
All right. Make sure you're pressing tab, but then also you're listening and keeping ears open. Genji did ask for a damage boost before you
Yeah,
won your blade.
I heard him. I tried to get to him, but I reacted a bit late.
And then on top of that, right, press tab, and that way we can see and watch when he's close to blade, and we can be ready to go and pocket him even before he says anything, right? Like, hypothetically, we should be already looking to pocket him because he's not going to say it every time, right? He's not going to communicate it with you.
Nah, damn. Was a bit late?
Yeah, I think by that point the fight was, at least that's where you might want to be paying very close attention, be hesitant for it, because by that point the fight was pretty much done. Alright,
Okay,
ults.
so ults, right. They use Junk Tire fairly recently. They've got Hanzo, they use Nano, they use Mercy, and Grav. So they've got Shatter. I think they've got Shatter, and
Junk
Where
Tire
was
was
he
Junk Tire was also like the fight before, pretty sure. So
maybe Junk Tire as well.
Yeah, wait, no, wait, no, wait.
Ah. Okay. Maybe pushed a bit early. That'll be
Right.
Shatter? Okay.
And in total, we also want to make sure that like we're like once you get better and better with that, keep practicing them, right? Do it over and over and over again, because the faster you can do that, as soon as the fight ends, that means that you're gonna be able to participate and still be doing things, right? And that means you have more time to plan. So the faster you get through that whole process, the more beneficial it's gonna be for you. Because there it looked like we kind of were doing a little too slow with it, and then that meant that we were still pressing tab even when the fight started.
Yeah, I'm just not used to it, I guess.
Yep, exactly, which is just why we practice it.
They didn't use any ultimates then.
Yep. So instead of looking at theirs, we can also look at ours. Like, what are we working with here?
Yeah. So we've got.
Maybe we can do a nano high noon, right? Make sure we pocket them too.
Come 5 early.
Tell them to start using ults, right?
Make sure you use your ults.
Right, remember, ults that are used first get more value, so it's a good idea as well to tell that to your team, right, and to let them know, right? We can, especially on a character like Mercy, even more so than a character like Bap or Ana, right? On those characters, you require a lot of mechanical skill, and that takes a whole extra part of your brain. But on Mercy, not taking a whole lot of skill to be staring at to be healing people, right? You don't require to shoot at them. So you have now you have a lot more time and energy that you can put into ult tracking and managing the macro sense of the game. So don't just stop at ult tracking, but also move on to fight planning, right? And managing your team. So you can say, hey, we have 6 ult. Did we talk about fight planning very much at all? Or
Yeah, we mentioned I haven't been doing it very much because I don't have the mental space. I don't know. Whenever I try to concentrate on ults, you could see I just kind of saw autopiloting in the background, and I didn't really do the right things.
Which you're not going to get better at it by not trying it, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So the more you practice at it, the better you're going to get, and that's going to allow you to get it off much more smoothly. It's definitely not going to be something that happens just because you think about it, right? With everything you're trying to practice, you want to put time and effort into it. Now, yeah, okay, you can get into another one. I think we still have another 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, I figured to try to get as quick as possible.
Yeah, I said you can go ahead and get another one.
All right, yeah.
Yep. So, don't stop at just telling your team what ults they have, but come up with, if they have anything big, come up with a counterplay. But then even past coming up with a counterplay, we can also coordinate our ultimates, right? So that can stop our team from over-ulting, obviously. If we use 6 ultimates, and that means next fight they just win for free, right? So we can tell our team, hey, let's use 2 or 3. That way we're not over-ulting. We can tell them what ults to use, and that can stop them from over-ulting. We can also combo ultimates a lot more efficiently if we're paying attention, right? Sometimes our team will have really good combos, our team just won't use it. Like, for example, we had a nano high noon that we could have potentially used in the last fight had we called for it, right? Now we ended up still winning the fight, right? So it worked out. But we can really manage our team's ultimates as well. Call for ult combos that they may not be thinking about, and they might not even be paying attention to if they're not pressing tab. right? On top of that, we can also look to just call the pacing of fights, right? We can control the tempo. We can say, okay, like get in, like if we're paying attention to kill feed, right, which we have been doing, it looks like, we can say when to go in, when to back out, when to play passive, when to play aggressive. We can do the same thing with ultimates. We can tell our team, hey, we have our ults here. Make sure we're using them early in the fight because it's last fight. We want to make sure we're just going at a fast pace, right? We don't want to be letting them use ults first. Like for example, like it was real scary when they used Junkrat Tire before we started using our ults because that meant that they had the potential to get picks off of it, right? So we just want to make sure that we're using ults first and fast, and to do that we need to communicate because otherwise then we're just relying on diamond players being at the same mental level and them carrying us, right? Which isn't going to happen, right? We're not going to get carried by our team up to a higher rank because they're
Mm.
at the rank that they deserve to be at. So if we want to carry and we want to climb, we need to be doing more work.
Okay, so if I'm gonna, because obviously in that game I struggled a bit with concentrating on barrels and my teams. Is there one that I should concentrate on for now in particular? Like, should I concentrate on
you need to
or just try to do everything and just get used to it?
I'd probably say first it's a good idea to try to practice the ult tracking because ult tracking comes first in the process.
Mhm.
Because you can't come up with counterplay if you don't know what ults they have, and then on top of that, knowing what you're using, oftentimes isn't going to be as efficient if you don't know what they're going to be doing, right? If we have a bunch of ults and they have grab, for example, like, and we're looking for a nano blade, they might grab our nano blade and we didn't even think about it because we weren't paying attention to their ults. So the first step in their process, and whenever you're in team play and you're playing in scrims and team play, it's always the first thing that happens is always ult tracking. You always are guessing what do they have, and then we're moving on to what we're using in the team fight plan, right? So if you're picking one to focus in on first, go with that one, and then once you feel like you're a little bit more comfortable with it, move on to the second one, right? Just make sure that you're reminding yourself while you're playing, right? The same thing we've been saying when it comes to concentrating. Really focus in on it. So while you're playing, remind yourself ults, 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 right? And make sure one of the number one things you're thinking about, so that in between every fight, you're just immediately coming back to it. And then once you start really concentrating and thinking about it, it'll start to come more naturally because you're now, that's just how habits work, right?
Yeah, because I have it exactly.
Exactly, right? It's just gonna really harden the neurons that fire in your brain, right? get them
Yeah.
to
Neurons.
yep, get them to the connection to get real hard is when you do something repetitively. So that's just what we want to look to do, and then it'll start to come much more naturally once we get better. Once we start practicing at it. Which so far it didn't seem like you were struggling really with the mechanics of knowing what they had. You seemed to have a good grasp of what they had. It was just more of making sure we did it in the first place at a timely manner, right? Just getting into the habit of doing it. Rather, we know how to do it. It's just that we don't do it regularly.
I guess I don't know if this will make sense, but it just kind of uses your like, say if your brain's like a CPU, right? And
Yep.
I just don't like using the resources on stuff where I have to think. I just want to turn my brain off, be a little monkey boy, and just fly around a map on Mercy. Okay, that's but no, that's not how you get to higher ranks. Obviously,
Yep.
you really got to apply that monkey brain.
Yep. I
which
mean,
I don't really do.
Yeah, like if you're that really comes into conflict because if you're just looking to have a fun, easy time, then looking to climb is not for you, bud.
Yeah, no, but
Yep.
I do want to climb. That's
Yep,
the thing.
exactly.
That's the hard part.
Yep, and with climbing must come improvement. There's no magical trick that's going to all of a sudden rank you up just by doing nothing, right? With improvement, you need to put in effort, put in thought, put in time, right? It's not going to come out of nowhere. So,
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Okay, we're looking like another Mercy game. I think we are. Oh, never mind. Oh, that's yeah. Well, actually, you get priority now, don't you?
Yeah, that's good. So we have 20 more minutes, and then we also have, and then try to fit the.
Is that enough, do you think, for one more, or no?
I'm trying to think of. Well, I guess while we're in queue, why don't we do a quick? Why don't we just do an early strengths and weaknesses / the
Sure.
review of everything, so that we don't have to do that at the end then. So in general, let's see. Start with abilities. I think flight is looking fine. No issues with our flying around. Just make sure we're not flying into death, like flying into mines or anything like that.
That's always the goal,
But-
isn't it? That's always the goal.
Yep. With reses, just want to make sure we're doing them frequently. It is a very big and powerful part of our kit, so we want to make sure that we're looking for it frequently. We're watching every time somebody dies, right? Every single time a teammate of ours is dead in kill feed, and we glance at res. Do we have it available? Yes, we do. Right. So now we're eyeballing the body. Is it safe, right? Are there any enemies near it? Is anybody looking at it? Do we have Valk available? Valk means you can get away with it a little bit better. Do we have cover available? Can we get team support like a bubble or shield or a defense matrix, right? So there's a lot of different things that go into it. How much health do we have? Is it like super important that we go for it, right? Oh, I guess we're not even gonna have time to finish this, but yep, just make sure you're concentrating on your reses. Now moving on, ultimates. I think ultimates are looking pretty fine so far. We're using them at really good times. So honestly, ult's not too much of a problem. Mechanics never really a problem when we're talking about Mercy when it comes to just looking at and shooting at stuff. Not really any big issue.
Hello, guys.
Positioning, I think we did a little bit better in that second game, but just in general so far for the session, make sure you're standing around your team and you are standing. Unless your DPS want to go off on their own, but if their DPS are standing with your team, make sure you can see and be with everything. All right, that fun team comp you're working with here.
Yeah, I've got no clue what to go.
All right, you can. Ana is a pretty flexible character and can work with anything.
Yeah.
Baptiste is going to struggle a little bit with the ball, but could heal everything else pretty well. And then Mercy would just mean you have a little bit low healing, but you also have a pretty split up comp.
Okay. For Lighthouse, this one I can use high ground stuff, so I'll see how that goes.
Symmetra put a TP like 2 inches out of spawn.
What do you mean? That's optimal gameplay right there.
Okay, identify the team comp. Look, do they have anything to get on you? Do you have a Genji, so we're paying attention to that.
Done. Damn, that was bad.
Concentrate a little bit more on the nades, right? Really make sure we're putting effort and looking to hit those. Don't rush yourself. Be a little bit, put effort and time into it. You don't want to just look for a nade and toss it after half a second. Make sure it's on track. Make sure it's going to an enemy. Make sure there's nothing in the way. We looked at you could probably look to retake high ground when you're walking back from spawn, but now it's too late.
Right.
High ground's where you're gonna want the position. So even now, when you see if won the fight, just go back, take the high
Go
ground.
back to high ground. Yeah, okay.
No, I don't think we have enough time now, but that also remember just full tracking.
Right.
So let's just.
Oh,
Good. Sorry, I didn't mean out to.
sorry, it's all good.
I was just gonna say we can just make sure we're focusing next fight. Next fight, I'll try to give you a reminder.
Damn.
Make sure you reload when you have a lull. Very nice pocket.
No, Anna's on point. Anna's on point. She can die.
Right.
Holy shit.
Now we've pretty much won the fight, right? It's like a 5v2, so now we can start all tracking.
Okay, they still have Blade, right? High Noon, they've probably got a lot of stuff actually.
Going to be okay.
Remember as well that we're rotating in between the fights here. Right, we just
Yeah,
in
there's so
between.
much to think about.
Yep,
Man.
in between fight management is gonna be a big one for us. I'd probably say one of the bigger ones. It's just that there's a
I'm
lot of
just on the
things.
time to rotate as well.
Yep.
Okay, can I look for a cheeky nade early? No. Yep.
Much better.
Damn.
Right. When
Else, they use Shatter. They. God, what else did we use? Sorry, carry on. I interrupted you.
no, go ahead. You can also make sure you can also look at kill cams if you want to see the person that just killed you, especially if it's a big important one. So for example, there we could see that Genji was like 85 to his ult. Right.
Okay, so he has good Blade then? Okay, pretty much. Yeah, he would definitely have it now. Can also just reset. This is back up. Damn. I always forget it's longer now.
Yep. Watch the deflects. He's gotten that on us twice, so don't shoot at him as soon as you see him. That's gonna be what he's expecting. You want to try to wait it out. So as soon as his deflect ends, we're looking for the sleep.
So he did use Blade then. They used Shatter before. They've got Whole Hog. They didn't use Nano then. Mercy's one.
Your power's up. Get in there.
Round asleep, that side.
You're going to.
Does Genji left? Nice.
All right. So there, I think your team walked in a little bit without you, so make sure you're paying attention to that. And if they're walking in before you're there and ready, just tell them to wait up a second. Let them know. Other than that, just I think a big one's just gonna be in between fights management, because there's a lot to do in between fights, right? You have repositioning to best spot possible. You have ult tracking, ult planning once you start getting into that stuff, but that's a whole other ball field as well, right? There's pretty much never going to be AFK time in Overwatch. There's always something to do. You're always doing something some time, right? That's a efficiency, and that's how you get better, is you know how to manage your time correctly. Right.
Okay.
Now let's see how much time do we have left. We have 13 minutes, so we should be able to maybe as long as we win this one, hopefully.
Oh, of course we will.
Yeah, good nanos so far though. I think ultimates has been a strong suit of ours.
Really? Usually that's a weak point of mine. Okay, I've got farmers here. Zarina personal.
Yeah.
Sorry, my aim's. I've been concentrating on so much different stuff. My aim's really, really bad at the moment because of that. Damn.
Save you, Anna.
Thank you.
Alright, I think we understand what mistake we made there.
Hog on two.
Securing the objective. Anyone want to join me?
Mercy anti. Never mind. How did that anti not hit it?
Alright, positioning, make sure we're either top left here or top right above where you're at right now. We don't want to be dropping down the point. Gives us high ground advantage, gives us angles to get nades off from. Just checks off a lot of boxes when it comes to positioning. So far looking like positioning and nades are going to be the bigger ones, so we want to look to work on Anana.
Okay. They've got nano. They probably got nano blade. Okay, they've got nano blade.
Yep. And then that would be the spot afterwards once you get better at this of where we say, okay, well, how are we stopping Nanoblade, right?
Okay.
You're going to be okay.
Oh, damn, I thought it'd go for me then. I dropped down here again, didn't I? Fucking.
Yep. Just make sure I'm watching it.
Genji's behind. He's towards us bottom.
And make sure we're pressing tab, thinking about who we're nanoing here, right? And this is again be who we're when we're paying attention to
My bad,
ults.
Ellie.
Get in there.
Ah, it's a good shot.
Genji behind still.
Sorry, Anna, I can't hear you.
Size of soup. Yeah.
I'm back.
My Ana position's usually fine on other map. It's just control.
Yep.
It's not optimal, let's just say.
Yeah. So like the top back on our side or the top right are gonna be where we want to position. And then when we're looking to back out, we just want to like try to get back to there. Really, all it is. We talked about the 3 checkboxes of Ana positioning. Oh, we'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah. That's... Get run.
Oh, we've got 99 now, we don't need to use ult. I can't win it. Oh, yeah, we got it.
But-
Alright, when you have something that can contest you, make sure you're not throwing out both of your abilities. You need to hold on to one. Usually that's going to be sleep because nade can get a little bit more value by launching it out. But, you know, if they have a Genji who can get on you in half of a second, we don't want to be using sleep and nade because then we're left unprotected, right? So we throw nade and we hold on to sleep. We did that a couple times and we died a couple times because of that.
Yeah, that was such a messy Ana game.
Have we in the past when we went over Ana talked about the 3 check boxes of Ana positioning?
Yeah. We have.
So on point there, you want to be looking for those exact same things, right? So when we're on the right side, right, that checks off all 3. Enemy team can't really see us too well. We have high ground positioning. We can see our whole team from there, and we can land nades pretty decently from there because it's an off angle. Top back of point, high ground position as well, means that the enemy team can see us, but we have the high ground, so that we have cover. That means we can use it as cover. We also that also means that we can land nades from there pretty effectively because we can get over shields and stuff like that, and we have a ton of visibility over the whole fight, right? You know, a lot of times we ended up dropping the point, and that just put us in a really bad spot where we were very easy to kill.
Yeah, I knew that I was making that mistake, but I just kept doing it for some reason. I knew it was a mistake, but I knew to stay on the high ground bit, but
Yep, exactly. Which is
didn't do it for some reason.
That's where getting consistent and practicing comes into play, right? And making sure we're concentrating on stuff while we're playing, right? That's why that's why you look to make habits, right? Because once you get good habits going, then you don't make those same mistakes over and over again. All right, so here we can just do the recap now. You can stop streaming and we'll just do that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so Mercy, we talked about it. Res needs a bit of, just make sure we're doing it more. I'm just going to speed through what we already did. Res, Guardian Angel, no, doesn't need any work. Mechanics doesn't need anything, is on Mercy, not a big problem. And on Ana, I don't think there's any big problem either. Like you said, it was just a bit of rusty because we were focusing on so many things, but it didn't even seem too terrible. Now, ultimate usage, honestly, really strong suit of ours today. We used it on time. I think, though, on Ana, just make sure you're paying attention to what ults you have to combo it with, as we ended up nanoing Hog, and I don't know if you were checking every time whether or not it is ult. I didn't see us press tab at all. We just kind of popped it on him and then hoped that he had his ult, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I can confirm.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
So Hog's not going to be fantastic unless he has his ultimate. He's not a very great target to nano when he doesn't have his ult because it's very inconsistent skill shots. If you're looking for an ult on someone in that fight, just be thinking of priority targets of, like, you know, who's gonna be best with ults, who's gonna be best, you know, first best, second best, third best. Did we talk about that as well with Ana?
Yes. We did. I do usually do that. It's just I had a lot of other things on my mind today.
You're good. Yep. Just you haven't done the. I don't think we've always done replays, so getting used to doing it live. So just make sure you're paying attention to the priorities. You're paying attention to what's good. D.Va probably would be better a better standard nano target than Hog would if you're just talking with primary abilities. Now, ults are pretty decent. Positioning, our general positioning was pretty good, but our character specific positioning was struggling a lot. So in general, like we stayed behind cover a lot. We weren't out in the open, and we had good cover usage like that. But on Mercy, we'd do something like this where our whole team's in this area and the DPS isn't off on their own, but we would put ourselves to where we can only heal one person rather than healing everyone. Whereas you want to put yourself to where you can heal everyone, right, and this person over here, right? If he goes off on his own over there, right, we have to make the decision, is it better to stay here or go with him? It's going to be situational, but a lot of times it's going to be really good to go with him, especially if they're good pocket DPS. But other than that, just make sure when he's with your team that you're putting yourself in a spot to heal everyone. On Ana, just make sure you're not forgetting all the standard positioning stuff we talked about. 3 check boxes of positioning. Don't jump on the point, stay on high ground, and just make sure you're not making dum-dums or you jump off the high ground. Now, when it comes to awareness, I think awareness is another one that just is going to need a bit of work. I think we have a good understanding of watching kill feed, good understanding of our whole HUD, but we are struggling a little bit when it just comes to our camera angles. Sometimes it seems like with our camera angle, we end up doing something where what ends up happening is instead of giving ourselves angles where we can see the entire fight, we end up putting our camera angle to where we can only see like 2 people, 3 people, rather than everything. We want to make sure that we're just orientating our camera and looking around more so that we can see more teammates, more enemies, so that we're reacting faster and knowing what's happening around us, and that'll allow us to, therefore, with better awareness, make better decisions. Big ones that aren't really in any of those different categories to go over are going to be just making sure you're being efficient in between fights, right? That was a very major one, is just work on the ult tracking, and then once you feel like you've gotten better with that, start to move on to ult planning as well, and countering the ultimates. I'd probably say it kind of has 3 different areas, right? You have ult tracking, countering those ultimates, and planning your team. I probably like going, if you're trying to slow down a little bit and go in order, go 1, 2, then 3. Do the ult tracking first. Then once you feel like you're good on that end, add in countering them. And then once you feel like you're good on that, then add in planning your team's ults. Just make sure you're focusing on that stuff and you're taking it one step at a time. Don't rush it. Don't try to focus on everything all at once because you'll get overwhelmed. Just keep at it. Remind yourself as you're playing, and just make sure you're doing it as early as you can after the fight's done, right? Sometimes you can even start doing it like while the fight's happening, right? If it's like a 5v2, even if they have people alive, you've still solidly won that fight. So that's where the fight's ended. Make sure in between fights you're not on Mercy, but not really on Mercy, but with Ana especially, make sure in between fights you're looking to reposition in the best place possible. You're not just sitting on low ground on point, right? But you're getting back to the high ground or getting back to the best spot. On Ana, ability usage did struggle a little bit as well. Nades were a big thing. Just make sure you're looking to put a lot of effort into those. Sleeps I didn't think were too much of an issue. Ultimates was just a little bit inconsistent on your Ana, but overall pretty decent. Just because we got lucky in 2 of the times Roadhog did have his ultimate. Now, then besides that is pretty much it. So I guess we'll do the kind of overall main points. Let's see, what's number 1 going to be at? I think that if you're looking for a very major way, that I would say that this is going to be the best way that you could be looking to climb is by learning and getting better at the whole ult tracking. So I think that I would put that at number 1, is just really look to practice it and get better at it, and you'll notice a difference. So I put that at number 1 is just time management, and in between, like making sure you're doing things in between fights. So that'll include rotating, making sure you're not just AFK doing nothing. Make sure you're thinking and saying, because there's a whole lot to do in between fights that isn't just sitting around. So that'll be at number 1. Number 2, let's put at, I think we'll put that at ability usage, as nade and res were 2 big things. Actually, no. Before ability usage, we'll do positioning. Sorry, because we did struggle a little bit when it came to like the character-specific positioning. So positioning comes as number 2. Ability usage comes at number 3. Then at number 4 comes awareness, and then ultimate usage comes in at number 5. And mechanics weren't really too much of an issue. So ultimate usage and mechanics
Go to sleep.
very near the bottom of the list, but the rest, that was kind of their order of how you should be looking to work on them. Alrighty. Any questions about anything we've gone over?
No, thanks. No, I haven't got any questions.
Alrighty. Well, then I'm just gonna end the recording here.